Greetings, friends, and welcome to another episode of The Mistake Zone, your weekly dose of our lives and the mistakes within them. My name is Jaren Wade. Joining me, as always, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Matt Alba. Hey, Matt.
Yo.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Matt, that's great. We're here, Mistake Zone proper. I have to ask you, Matt. How are you feeling, bro?
Yo, Jaren, I am in and out of sleep. I was about to take a nap before you asked to record right now, and I'm hoping that by me not taking a nap right now, that I'll be able to sleep for longer later.
That's how it works, Matt. That makes sense. Matt, is that boy math? Is that what they call boy math?
Yeah, I think that stands as a boy math. I think that stands as boy math.
Great, Matt. That's great. Well, Matt, you know what I did this weekend?
What'd you do this weekend, Jaren?
Got to see you for a hot second. I know we tried to record in person, but just didn't work out this time. Peek behind the curtain. But Matt, you hooked your boy up with some prezzies from Japan. Hey, Matt. Thanks, man.
Yo, no problem, man. No problem.
You got me some acrylics, which are hanging on the shelf above my desk, Matt.
Got them.
When you were gone, we fortunately renovated our office, so have a new office setup. And when I visited the Saturday morning arcade clubhouse, or at least the surrounding area, I was able to get a few more of my anime figures that were in storage and now have those once again set up. But Matt, mistake of the week. One of my older anime figures, not necessarily anime figures, but anime adjacent figures, is a Jury from Street Fighter figure. I think that might have been like my second or third, just figures that I purchased years and years ago. And brought that to Mistake Zone HQ, aka our new office, and I put the figure on my new wall hanging shelf. Matt didn't realize how tall this Jury figure was. So when I put the figure on my shelf, the top of her hair accidentally grazed the shelf above it.
Oh, no.
Matt, have some chipped paint, Matt.
Oh,
Wasn't careful, and now it shows when you look really close at my Jury figure. But
damn. Jaren, it just sounds like you need to do some repainting.
Matt, you know I don't trust my hands. I do not trust my hands, and that would probably go poorly. Matt?
Oh, Jaren?
Oh, what's up?
Did you ever end up fixing that figure that you broke the neck of?
My Hafumi figure from New Game did not. It's still on my bucket list, but that figure is currently in a sea of Nendoroid boxes that I'm honestly ashamed when I open the Nendoroid closet and see all those box figures. One day I'll display them somewhere, Matt. Not sure where. Not sure where, but Matt, also, in terms of my new office setup, hate to admit this, Matt, but
okay.
Had to move all the Hololive tapestries
to
one of the guest bedrooms.
No.
Whoever stays with us, if they get the anime room, as I like to call it, they'll get to go to sleep surrounded by Hololive tapestries. And that, I know we don't do an Airbnb, but if we ever did do an Airbnb, how does anime room sound in the listing?
Jaren, sounds like you should charge more for it.
It's part of the experience, Matt. Part of the experience. But, Matt, 1 week back from your trip, you're settling in. And anything else you were doing this week other than catching up on sleep, man?
Jaren, I've been trying to find new games to play.
Yes.
But really, all I ended up doing was trying to restart Dragon's Dogma.
The first one or the second one?
The first one. Because, Jaren, I've been hearing some, mixed things about the second one. So I'm hoping that when they do the Dragon's Dogma 2 Dark Arisen equivalent, that everything will be good by then. And I hopefully will have finished original Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen stuff.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. Anything else on your potential playlist?
Not, not Jaren. I keep thinking about picking up Grand Blue Fantasy. Oh no, wait.
Oh,
Is it called Grand Blue?
I know what game you're talking about. You're talking about that RPG, right?
Yeah, Grand Blue Fantasy
Not the
Relink.
fighting game.
I keep looking at Grand Blue Fantasy Relink and thinking this looks interesting and I kind of want to play it.
Okay.
But I don't know, Jaren. I don't know.
Still catching up on some sleep, Matt. I understand. I understand. Matt,
Mm-hmm.
before we get into some of the beefier topics this week, let me propose some potential episode segments in the near future, and let me know you're if you're down and when you're down.
Okay.
And hope maybe I too can participate, and we can tell me if you've heard this before, Matt. Both converse about them over our audio program. But Matt, when you were gone, I guess, when you're on vacation, Crypt of the Necrodancer received some new Hatsune Miku DLC. Is that something that you would want to partake in within the coming weeks?
Jaren, I do want to partake in that, but this is I think there's a very real chance that this is just one of those things where I'll buy the DLC and not play the game.
Okay, Matt, I already purchased the DLC, so this is something that we might have to hold each other to.
Okay.
For potential content. Matt, have you watched the Fallout TV show? Or the Fallout streaming show?
I have watched the first episode. That's it.
Okay.
I meant to watch more on that plane back, but I didn't want to awkwardly hold my phone up to my face.
All right. I'll try to watch at least the first episode this week, and maybe we can discuss it next week. Matt, are you going to play a Fallout game because of the TV show?
I don't think so. I was thinking about it, but I don't think I will.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And my final question, Matt, have you checked out Content Warning?
I have not. I remember you told me to claim it when it was, but I still haven't loaded it up.
All right, me neither, Matt. Maybe that could be something we get some pals together and content warn, so to say. So, okay, Matt, we have some potential content planned out. We'll see. Our friends will see if we actually stick to said tentative plans. But
Jaren,
what's up?
About the Hatsune Miku DLC. Yeah. Well, wait, no, Jaren, my pay files are being rejected by Steam right now.
Oh. Well, put that, not maybe for a Vault episode, but back to more reoccurring segments. I know I didn't get to Jaren's Kira Sparkling Water review last week because, Matt, floor was yours. We need to hear about your adventures in Japan. But this week, one of the prezzies you brought back for me was this Hololive booster pack of sorts. And I believe there's a treat inside, and it comes with, I believe, either a card or a sticker. I'm not sure either, but we're going to put another pause on Jaren's Kira Sparkling Water review for this week. And Matt, we're going to do Jaren's Hololive booster pack opening review. Matt didn't workshop the title, but there's a treat inside, and maybe that will be our ASMR content for the week. But Matt, did you partake in this in your time in Japan as well?
Jaren, I did not, because I was kind of looking at the packs, and there wasn't a kind of setup where it seemed like it was good gacha odds for me.
Oh, okay. Where I know I'm looking at the back, and I believe it lists the 43 talent that you can get in terms of stickers, or at least the cards inside. But
is that how that one worked, Jaren? I thought it was just based on whoever is on the front.
Nope, there are 43 talents in all on the back, but Matt.
Oh, true. Okay.
I'm looking at the front right now. So we have 7 talents. I can't count that. 7 talents, 4 from Hololive EN and 3 from Hololive ID. So we have Crony, Mume, Gura, Ami from EN, and then we have Reine, Ollie, and Muna. Really, Matt? Didn't like those odds?
Jaren, that was the only pack with that variety that I saw. And that was the only pack I saw that had any ID members on it. So I thought I should get that one for you.
Matt, you're a good friend, Matt. You're a good pal, and I appreciate your friendship. But Matt, I'm curious to know what's inside this pack when it comes to taste-wise. I know last week you told me you tried to also buy me some Choco chocolate that was expired. So I'm guessing since you were sold this, it's not expired. But
Jared, okay, it was not expired at the time of purchase. It might be expired now.
Well, only one way to find out, Matt. I'm taking it out right now, and I'm Oh, okay. So I wasn't sure what I was expecting, but it kind of reminds me of a wafer. No, not necessarily a wafer chip. Matt, this actually is weird because it kind of looks like some sort of thick corn chip, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Matt, you know those, I don't know what the brand, but in Costco, they sell those like veggie straw chips, right?
Oh, yes.
Think of that texture, that corn texture, I guess. And it's almost like 5 of those straws mashed to like if they were connected together, like a Kit Kat, I guess. With
okay.
the 2 on the edges, the left and right one, really big, and the ones in the middle kind of small.
Oh,
but
okay.
Matt, time to review what this is. Matt, I thought this would be a chocolate wafer, so I'm already thrown off by it. But Matt, this is essentially a shrimp chip, I think.
Oh, okay. That is a surprise of a flavor.
This is a shrimp chip. It reminds me of a shrimp chip. Yep, essentially, it's not as shrimpy as the ones you can normally get here, but it does have that, initial salty taste with that sweeter aftertaste, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. I never would have guessed that's what was actually inside that package.
Okay, so we have that, and I'm hoping, Matt. Okay, need to double check. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. It's a sticker.
Oh, okay.
Matt, don't match me bonus challenge. What do you think? Name one of the 43 potential Hololive talents this could be and see if you don't match it.
My initial guess for some reason right now is Aqua.
Okay. Matt, and the card I got was... It's a holographic Nene sticker.
Oh, nice.
Nice, Matt. Number 15. Nice. Thanks, man. Matt, I was a bit worried because I looked inside the bag after I took the chip out, and there was nothing inside, and I thought, was I scammed out of a potential sticker? But nope, it was underneath the tray. It was kind of stuck to the tray itself. So... Matt, I'll be honest, I wish I had a sparkling water to wash this down right now. But so it goes, Matt. And that is I don't even know what this is. Let's say a Hololive chip snack. Shrimp cracker snack review. It's okay. It's okay. And you have you have a chance to get one of 43 stickers. If it's still around. Nope, not expired yet, Matt. So we're good.
Nice.
Thank you for the present. Matt, since I'm a weirdo, I'm going to keep the wrapper as well in a drawer. As you can see, I'm a hoarder, and it's something I should really work on. But that's part of my personality trait, Matt. And before we move on, as I wash this down with whatever coffee is left on my desk, even though it is really late at night, Matt, name one other snack that you ate in Japan that you didn't tell us about last week.
Actually, Jaren, like, I guess it's just on my mind now, but they had these like shrimp chips that were just pressed shrimp, and those were like wildly a lot better than I thought they were gonna be.
That sounds actually really good. Matt, I know you didn't mention it, but you were really looking forward to eating a milk cookie on your trip. Did you end up having said cookie?
Oh yes, it was the Shirokoi Bito kind of like chocolate wafer cookies, and yeah, I ended up buying them. Jaren, I really like those. You get them from like this like chocolate factory in Sapporo, which I think I did talk about last week. And Jaren, when they're like fresh and they're like a little warm, the chocolate is a little warm, and the wafers is still like a little warm. Oh man, that really hits.
Oh, nothing like a warm cook. Matt, I love me a warm cookie.
Mm-hmm,
But Matt,
mm-hmm.
you know what I also love?
What's that, Jaren?
House rules when it comes to board games.
Uh-huh.
Matt, how often do you partake in house rules for not necessarily, the in-depth board games, but kind of, your general board games, whether that be Monopoly or whether that be Uno,
I
whether
mean,
that be Jenga, I guess.
I feel like I've never played Uno without house rules.
Mm-hmm.
Jaren, that just reminds me when I was in Japan, there are a lot of Uno variants. Like I'm not gonna say like Japanese specific Uno variants, but I never realized that there were so many kind of variants of Uno. They had a version of Uno that was just called Dos, and I thought that was really good.
Amazing, Matt. Amazing. Yeah, I think I don't make it, something that I have to do every time I go to, say, a store with a toy section. But if I do find myself walking through a board game section, I do like looking at all the different Uno variants, all the different collaborations, all the different, licensed properties that are gracing the boxes. And to be honest, Matt, Uno's not necessarily my game, but you know what's my game, Matt?
What, Jaren?
Scrabble.
Oh
And
man.
actually, I was reading on, at least in terms of sources, I heard this on CHFI being discussed, and I believe the Globe and Mail reported on it here in Canada, but you can probably find a news article around. But Matt, apparently Mattel has launched a new way to play Scrabble called Scrabble Together, currently only available in Europe. This version contains a double-sided board with one side being your traditional Scrabble board, but the other side, Matt, is designed so people can team up and play, completing goal cards at their chosen challenge level. There are also helper cards that can be used throughout the game and a quick variant with simple scoring. The aim, Mattel says, is to make a more inclusive Scrabble for anyone who finds word games intimidating. Matt, what do you think of co-op Scrabble?
I think that I would probably like. Well, I don't know if I would like really like co-op Scrabble, but when I think about like okay, Jaren, I don't know if like you've ever like played Scrabble with someone who knows how to play Scrabble.
Yep.
And that made me not want to play Scrabble anymore because I don't know how to play Scrabble. So doing that co-op seems a lot better to me.
I know when it comes to Scrabble, and I saw the announcement of Scrabble Together, I think my first initial thought was, oh, this could be actually something cool for someone who might be learning English, having English as even a second language where your vocabulary might not be that varied enough to actually compete with someone who might be more native in Scrabble. But in a co-op setting, that might, create opportunity, a more inviting opportunity for you to not only get to play the game, but actually get to learn more words and work together. And I think on paper, it just creates an environment that is kind of more open to just learning words. And I thought that was pretty cool. But maybe I'm just naive, Matt, or maybe I'm delusional because I immediately thought after, oh, I'm just bad at Scrabble. Where if I play with someone who knows how to take advantage of all the different scoring tiles. And let's face it, Matt, we've been doing this podcast for so long now where my vocabulary doesn't have that range to make me pretty okay at Scrabble. So, yeah, when I heard about the Scrabble Together variant, I immediately thought, I hope I could find a copy when I'm in Europe. And it doesn't launch in North America within the next couple of months. Because, Matt, I know this is going to be random, but one of my core memories is watching our friends Ian and Mikey play Jenga, starting off against each other. But as that game kind of went on, it became this co-op experience for them where they were both trying just to see how far they can both get. And it was them even strategizing together, saying, oh, maybe if you go for this block, I can go for this block, or this block looks cool. And it was just cool watching this competitive Jenga game all of a sudden become, hey, let's see how far we can all get to. Let's play Jenga together and see where this takes us. Where, I don't know. And I also feel like just kind of in recent years, we've seen such a rise in co-op gaming. Just in both video and I'm guessing even in the board game world itself, where I think this just makes sense, where you are trying to capitalize on essentially what might already be a house rule for so many households who play Scrabble. So definitely something I want to check out. And I have to ask you, Matt, what other kind of readily available board games could you see a co-op house set rule apply to?
I don't know, Joe, because when I'm thinking of kind of like readily available board games, I really am just thinking of the stuff that's in like the Monopoly variant or like that Monopoly level.
Yeah, essentially anything you can get from, I guess, Hasbro or Mattel.
Jordan, I can't really think of anything. I guess like a lot of those games are specifically like competitive in a way that I can't see, unless like the one that I'm thinking of right now for some reason is the Game of Life becoming a co-op, and you're just trying to start like I don't know, like a family dynasty or something.
The Game of Lives, you say? For some reason, I was thinking, Matt, can we make Twister into a co-op game?
Isn't Twister a co-op game?
I don't even, Matt. I could tell you the amount of times I played Twister on one hand, and that's how much experience I have with Twister. So maybe not for me. But you know what is for me, Matt? Oh, sorry.
No, I could see maybe a co-op variant of like Uno being a thing.
Okay. Matt, do you think you can design Uno in a way where there would be, say, a NPC opponent that all your friends team up against?
I don't even know if you need an NPC opponent. Like, my initial thought for Uno is a version or like a co-op version where you're trying to play as many cards as you can.
Oh, okay.
Or like as many cards from the deck as you can. And like you're trying to get the whole deck played without, blocking each other.
Oh, that would be cool. Maybe. Again, my experience with Uno is also something I can count with less than, I think 2 hands in all is all I needed to tell you the amount of times I played Uno. But I think you can probably jimmy some house rules together where, Matt, what if you were all working together to funnel cards to one specific player and, Matt, again, I don't know how Uno exactly works, but
I mean, Uno's just crazy eights. So
what if we started stockpiling cards to make sure it all goes to one person while always trying to deny them from playing, if that would work somehow? And the whole goal of the game is to make sure they're able to play 50 cards at once. And when they finally do play, and if they don't reach 50 cards, then everyone loses. I think we can workshop this, Matt. Matt. But that's maybe our friends listening can tell us how we can design a co-op Uno experience. But Matt, speaking about co-op PvE experiences, or let's just say co-op PvP experiences, I've been playing Fortnite as per usual, but The only reason I wanted to bring this up, Matt, was right now there is a Avatar, The Last Airbender collab going
Yes.
on where Korra, she's a character in the current battle pass, but right now Aang is part of the mini pass, and then you can have Toph and two other, I don't know, Soga's sister and the fire guy, what's his name, Zuko or whatever.
Yes.
They're
Yes. Yes.
available in
Yes.
store. But
Hmm.
why I wanted to bring this up is, Matt, remember that Battle Royale game where you were a wizard and you had wizard powers?
Spell break. Yeah.
Yes. Matt, smell breaks. Spell break, gone too soon, I think. I think a game like that
Oh
had
man,
legs, in my opinion.
Jared, there was so much about spell break that I wanted to like work out, but the way that like spell break kind of just like slowly died was, I don't know, was something, Jared. A lot of the choices they made in trying to keep that thing going really went poorly.
Matt, I don't think we were able to talk about Spellbreak on the pod before, but Matt,
Hmm.
what, do you have any memories, both good or bad, about Spellbreak? And ultimately, what do you think led to its ultimate demise?
I mean, I think Spellbreak as a game was like very interesting. I had a lot of fun playing it, but the issue came when one, its community wasn't big enough that
Hmm.
you could have, I guess, like lobbies of similarly skilled players, which really made it hard because Jaren, the distance between, I guess, like the skill floor and the skill ceiling in that game is huge, and having players that are like, not matching against somebody of their same skill really ruined the matchmaking for that game.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just made it miserable to play.
I
Mhm.
know the first game you're ever put into Spellbreak, you do the thing where the first game you play is against bots, just so you have that sense
Yes.
of dopamine, and then that makes you to continue playing and
Hmm.
hopefully fill lobbies. But I I fell off Spellbreak pretty quick because for some reason my connect it was a pain playing that on Wi-Fi when I was with
Hmm.
my parents. But I think did Spellbreak ever get to the point where it just threw you into bot lobbies, or were you always, struggling just to find a full, I don't know, room game?
I'm pretty sure they like reduced the amount of people you needed for a game,
Hmm.
and like they did just start reintroducing the bots, but like I don't know. Again, that the difference between like someone new and someone skilled at Spellbreak was is just crazy, and I don't know. Like that kind of just made it unfun to play for me.
Fair, Matt.
Hmm.
And the reason I bring up Spellbreak is because alongside this Avatar collab in Fortnite, we have four new mythic weapons that you can get, throughout a battle royale match. And
Hmm.
these correspond with, four different element bending from the Avatar series. So
Yeah.
you have airbending, which essentially, Matt, is a pocket car where when you when it's active, you are essentially air surfing and you can just traverse the map. Its alt fire also lets you just jump into the air really high. It's really cool. Matt, I like it.
Uh-huh.
There's fire bending, which essentially is kind of like your shotgun replacement, where your primary fire is you throwing some fireball or really fire crescents in front of you. And its alt fire is you doing a sweet series of fire kicks ending with a AoE fire kick. It looks cool,
Hmm.
Matt, but I think
Uh-huh.
firebending is probably the worst mythic in the game.
Uh.
Then we have airbending mat or earthbending mat, which
Hmm.
its primary fire, gets a chunk of rock from the ground and just flings it forward, but its alt fire mat essentially builds a wall in front of you, and then you can then alt fire your barricade to shoot those in front of you as well. Pretty cool, Matt. It's
Hmm.
cool to make cover, especially in zero build when there's no build, but
Jared, isn't that just bringing build back?
Yeah, but I'm not actually building. I'm just putting a wall in front of me, which is the extent of my building in Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
But Matt,
Mm-hmm.
here's where I'm a bit confused
Okay.
because this brings us to water bending. And Matt,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
water bending allows you to shoot, just burst, let's say icicles, or technically water balls at your opponent. And when you have it active, if you're in a body of water, you'll also passively heal. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Matt,
Mm-hmm.
when you pick up water bending, you literally do not have to have a sniper rifle. You literally do not have to have an AR. Matt, when I say water bending is probably the strongest mythic to ever come to Fortnite, I'm floored this has not been nerfed. Like, when it was introduced, because it was introduced to the game pre Avatar collab just to get everyone ready, and it was still strong then, but for some reason they decided to buff it to become even stronger for the collab. And Matt, when I say this has this scales the best damage wise, I'm pretty sure every hit does like 250 when it hits. Next to no bullet drop compared to bullet drop for your sniper rifles, your AR. It has a quick reload animation, and it's just insane, Matt. Where I've had peeking matches against snipers. There's no reason why I should win peeking matches against snipers with water bending. Yet it's so accurate. It covers such a distance, and that
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure why it's still in the game in this current state. It's insane. Where I think Spellbreak died for this, but Matt, I don't know if it was worth it because waterbending is too strong, and that's currently what the Fortnite meta is looking like during the Avatar collab. You can literally have all 4 fire or bending mythics on you, plus like some heal, and that would be a legit loadout that you can take to the end of the game, and at least in casual play, which is insane. But Matt, considering the current state of Fortnite and Spellbreak, would this make you inclined to check out Fortnite?
No, I don't think so, Jared. Jaren, I want single player Spellbreak. I think is what I got from this segment.
Man, Matt,
Mm-hmm.
I would like that as well, because when I think back to Spellbreak, again, as you said, a lot of interesting mechanics, a lot of just interesting design decisions, but unfortunately it was wrapped in that battle royale wrapper. It just didn't catch on, but at least we have overpower waterbending to tide us over for now, Matt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Matt, it's too strong. I'm not sure why it hasn't been nerfed yet.
Oh man.
So Matt,
Mm-hmm.
speaking about No More Spellbreak, there is a game that came to Game Pass, I think, over a month ago that is part of a series that, at least for me, has a special place in my heart. And that is No More Heroes. With No More Heroes 3 being available on Game Pass, it originally launched on the Switch August 27th, 2001. And Matt, let me break this down for you. No More Heroes, the original, came out January 22nd, 2008. No More Heroes 2, Desperate Struggle, January 26th, 2010 on the Wii. And then Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes on the Switch, January 18th, 2019. So, Matt, this has been a series that's been around for over a decade now. And when I think back to the original No More Heroes and No More Heroes as a series as a whole, to me, it's always been this cult classic game series. I feel like in the first game, its proclamation that Punk's not dead has always been this series' statement piece. And I feel like that also serves as the foundation to pretty much everything Suda 51 has worked on. Of course, Suda 51 being, of course, the mind and director behind the No More Heroes series. But Matt, in many ways, I love the aesthetic of No More Heroes. The premise, Travis touchdown, and otaku with an affinity for Japanese films, magical girl anime, wrestling, and beam katanas, one day finds himself as part of a world or United Assassin Association
Mm-hmm.
who brashly climbs up its ranks by battling other assassins, works side jobs to pay for entry fees into these fights, and starts to have an existential crisis as to why he continues to climb this mountain of death.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all of that together, Matt, has made No More Heroes have this style to it, with its different bosses, each more over the top than the last. But it's also connected with these otaku and punk sensibilities that are obviously dear to Suda's heart. Where
Mm-hmm.
I think why No More Heroes has a special place in my heart is because, again, it contains all these things that not only I enjoy, but you can tell that Suda is even more passionate about, everything within its confines as well.
Mm-hmm.
Where one of my core memories with No More Heroes, Matt, is before launch. Matt, I'm not sure if you remember this, but let's say you had a pre-release copy of the original No More Heroes
Uh-huh.
that you brought over, and we watched you play through the introduction of the game up into one of the first bosses.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt, I know it's
Uh-huh.
been over 10 years, but what are your general thoughts of the original No More Heroes?
Jaren, I don't really remember too many specifics about No More
Hmm.
Heroes, but I do remember having a lot of fun playing that original game.
Yeah.
I think like at the time it was really hitting a lot of my, comedic buttons. It was the, I think for me, correct amount of what do you call it, waggle in the
Yes.
controllers for the Wii. I thought it like it was, I don't know, it was like hitting on a lot of like, just like good points for me, whether it was the gameplay, whether it was like the kind of humor, whether it was like the soundtrack. I remember hitting like really really well for me as well. And
Man, I always go back to Heavenly Star by the Genki Rockets, I believe. Such a good
mm-hmm,
track when you went to buy
mm-hmm,
new clothes or whatever.
Jaren, I mean, I'm gonna go forward a game here, but Jaren, the Reaper song was
Yes,
like,
Philistine, I think,
yes, yes,
from No More
yes.
Heroes 2. I believe that was Margaret's boss fight
Mm-hmm,
song. And
mm-hmm.
just how that was incorporated into the fight. And,
Yeah.
Matt, if there's, again, if there's one thing about the No More Heroes games, it's its style and its characters, really.
Yes, yes.
But Matt, in many ways, I feel like No More Heroes is Suda. Of course, it's Suda 51's passion project.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, like, if we really wanted to talk about No More Heroes, at the end of the day, I think budget and resources have never been able to match the passion of Suda 51. Where thinking back to the original No More Heroes, you had this open world that was so bare, so lifeless, and it seemed like it was there for the sake of being there.
Mm-hmm.
And in No More Heroes 2, that open world was completely replaced by menus. And even with Travis Strikes Back, it was really just the No More Heroes shell on top of a pretty simplistic brawler. And then, of course, Matt, after you finish one of these games, you would go online and read about how Sudo would have liked to included more boss fights in each game, but the resources just never allowed it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, Matt. No More Heroes has always been, this might be a hot take, but this average gaming experience that was always carried by undeniable style and over the top characters. Where when I get to No More Heroes 3, I feel like it continues that tradition while being the swan song for Travis Touchdown's story. Where the more I played, or as I played through No More Heroes 3, um,
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, Matt, the more Suda's quirkiness or at least became questionable, and some of the design decisions were downright bad, if I was just speaking truthfully, where
Uh-huh.
I got to thinking, Matt, did I outgrow No More Heroes?
Oh
And
no.
that's a scary thought, Matt. That's a scary thought. But with No More Heroes 3, when I first started the game, there was definitely some stylistic choices that threw me off and made me feel like the game wasn't respecting my time.
Oh.
And I but I do think if I was younger, I would be more into it. But here, by the time I ended my first, I guess, gameplay session, I had 57 minutes played on the save screen. But
Okay.
only 12 of those minutes were actual gameplay, including just one boss fight. The rest were cutscenes, including that anime introduction used as the debut trailer, and then also just a bunch of story setup. Where that I don't know, when you think about, or Matt, as an old man, how long do you give a game before you think if it's respecting your initial time investment? And does that kind of change depending on the genre or even your current mood?
I mean, for the genre, like I will give something like a RPG, JRPG, a lot more time than I would any other genre. But I don't know, Jen. Like 12 minutes of gameplay in the first hour ish of the game to me doesn't seem bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think for No More Heroes, I would give it like, 2 or 3 hours, and hopefully by then it will have ramped up. Just to get past all its
Yeah,
introduction stuff.
because you have to
I
set
might
up the
even give it.
assassins. Yeah,
Might even give it more just because Jaren, it is a property that I do have a fondness for.
fair.
But yeah, like I think like no more than 4 hours is what I would give like No More Heroes to get like started.
All right, that's fair. That's fair, Matt. And
Mm-hmm.
again, that's why I asked, oh, does it depend on your mood? And Matt, maybe I wasn't in the mood to really enjoy a No More Heroes game, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it this. Within that first, I guess, 57 minutes of quote unquote gameplay time, there were 3 title drops. And what I mean by that is,
Uh-huh.
in addition to the main title drop,
Yeah.
at the start of each chapter, Matt, it begins with a legit OP, followed by a little video podcast of Travis and his pal Bishop talking about their favorite director, Miyake, and his work. Matt,
Uh-huh.
how each chapter having its own OP and its own mistake zone is a choice. And I think as I played through the game, it was a choice that I really was into. But Matt, it doesn't
Uh-huh.
stop there.
Mm-hmm.
Each chapter ends with an ED as well, followed by
Amazing.
a G logo in the playing off the Netflix motif, and then it has that next episode starts in 5, in the corner, 5, 4, 3,
Amazing.
2, 1.
Mm-hmm.
Matt,
Uh-huh.
as I continued to play the game for another 22 hours, I looked forward to that OP-ED combo and
Mm-hmm.
honestly began to see them as endearing. I think some would call it self-indulgent, but Matt, I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the type of thing I'm into. That's the type of thing I want from No More Heroes, where
Yeah. Yeah.
another thing I appreciated about the OP was that, it rolls out all the voice actors, Travis, Sylvia, the main characters basically. But towards the end, it highlights the next boss you'll be fighting and then goes into the chapter name, which I thought was like a nice touch.
Uh-huh.
But Matt, I feel
Uh-huh.
like that gives you a perfect glimpse of the aesthetic and overall style of the game.
Yeah.
Gameplay wise, it's still the bare bones brawler that
Yeah.
you expect from No More Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't do anything to innovate, nor does it feel like it's necessarily tight. But again, it's what you expect, and it's comfort food to me because again, I'm fond of this series.
Mm-hmm.
Where I was playing on the Series X because it's on Game Pass, and there wasn't really any slowdown in the combat, which Matt, as we players of No More Heroes, we've kind of become accustomed to as
Uh-huh.
well.
Uh-huh.
But for cinematics, though, I have to say, when it switches focal points, the pop-up does get really bad, where backgrounds do take a second or two to load in after the characters load in, and that's pretty jarring. So again, Matt, budget, resources, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of combat, you do have these new special techniques. I believe they're called death techniques that come from Matt. Travis essentially has a power glove.
Uh-huh. That
That
sounds
looks
about
like he
right.
has two Joy Cons attached to it,
Yeah,
like
that
with
sounds
the
about right.
red and blue color scheme. But
Mm-hmm.
um, essentially, you need to hold the left bumper and press a face button to perform one of these techniques.
Mm-hmm.
Now, note that you need to lock on. Your lock on and your block is your left trigger. So switching to do a technique when you were originally locking onto someone doesn't feel the greatest, Matt.
Oh, I
But
see. Mm-hmm.
in terms of techniques, you start off with a drop kick, but then by I think the third boss fight, you get the other three techniques all at once. Essentially, you can create a slow, like you have an AoE attack that slows down everything in the vicinity. You have a floating attack drone that will just shoot out wherever it's hovering. And then you have a telekinesis force push.
Oh,
Again, you
okay.
get
Mm-hmm.
them all during the same boss fight where it really makes the pacing weird and kind of contributes to that, oh, they had to rush that, feeling that I guess No More Heroes is known for at this point, where I
Mm-hmm.
think it's less charming by at this point and kind of more concerning, but I don't know, Matt. It's again your basic arena brawler where you're trying to adapt to enemy patterns. I think the addition to these death techniques kind of further streamline your combat opportunities because essentially you're just using them on cooldown because the number of times you use these death techniques and in turn wrestling moves, those contribute to your encounter grade. So essentially you do want to spam all of them just to make sure you have a high grade, which again is kind of weird to me at least. Um, Matt,
Mm-hmm.
you remember from No More Heroes Combat how every time you kill an opponent, you'll get that kind of machine roulette to give you kind of various buffs.
Mm-hmm.
Of
Vaguely, yeah.
course, that returns in No More Heroes 3, and then one of the buffs you can unlock is Travis donning essentially an Iron Man suit of armor, and then you can auto lock missiles on everything left on the screen. So that again, that's kind of the style it's going for. It's nothing fancy, but at the same time, it's mindless enough that I feel like it does its job, but it also does the cardinal sin of character action games where if something is off screen, it can still attack you, and thus you can't react accordingly to it. And that kind of breaks the combat flow, which is kind of
Mm-hmm.
annoying to me. Um, I said earlier that part of No More Heroes' charm is the cast of characters. And as this is the swan song of Travis, you get at least some sort of cameo from each of the major characters that the series that for from the previous games, with small callbacks to other Suda 51 directed titles where,
Mm-hmm.
Travis and Sylvia, of course, take center stage. You get appearances from Shinobu, from Bad Girl, her father Badman, yet another Destroy Man fight. And even, Matt, I'm not sure if you remember the optional boss from No More Heroes 2, Kimmy, but she returns with a massive glow up as well where there's even this gotcha machine portion of the game which allows you to unlock Smash Brothers style trophies of each of the characters from the series as well. So, Matt, it's just nice to roll a gotcha and see characters again like Margaret or
Mm-hmm.
Alice or Dr. Peace or Captain Vladimir. My only complaint is that, Shinobu and Bad Girl are such notable characters in the series. I know in No More Heroes 2, you played as Shinobu for a bit, and in Travis Strikes Again, both Shinobu and Bad Girl were playable alongside Badman, but their roles in 3 are severely diminished, and they only appear less than half a dozen times, which is a shame. Matt, gotta
Mm-hmm.
ask,
Mm-hmm.
in your No More Heroes experience, who were some of your favorite, assassins and boss fights that come to mind? Now that
I
I'm putting
mean,
you on the spot.
honestly, Jaren, like I mentioned earlier, one of the most prominent ones for me is what do you call it? Oh man, why can't I remember her name right now? The Philistine fight,
Yeah,
Reaper Girl.
Margaret. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that is like one of the most notable ones. I think another one for me is was Destroyman the one that was inside the baseball stadium, or was
I
that
Baseball Stadium, that might have been Dr. Peace with the golden
oh, the
revolver.
revolver? Yes, 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 yes. Sorry, yes, yes, yes.
Destroyman was the kind of the film studio, I think, for both one and two.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Oh,
Dr. Peace was such a good boss fight as well.
yes. Jaren, what was the one where the phase 2 is just the mech fight? I know this is all just like No More Heroes 1 stuff, but I guess that was the more prominent game for me.
Wasn't the mech fight in two as well with like the football team? Or
Oh wait, no, okay, maybe that was yeah, that was two.
yeah,
Yeah, that was the first fight you do, or the first like I guess like boss fight you do
yeah,
in
that
two.
was the cop out because I remember No More Heroes 2, you start off as rank 100 on the assassination rankings, and then you fought the football team, and all the cheerleaders were technical, and all the football players were also ranked assassins. So once you finish that fight, you already shot up to like rank 40 or
Uh
something.
huh. Uh-huh.
But Matt, yeah, great bosses, great characters throughout the game or throughout the series. And Matt,
Mm-hmm.
that brings us to the 10 new bosses of No More Heroes 3.
Ah, yes. Okay.
And so, Matt, the basic premise of No More Heroes 3 is that Damon, and this was this corporate suit from Travis Strikes Again, he befriends an alien named Fu as a child, and that
Mm-hmm.
alien returns years later and wants to take over the world alongside Damon and has brought 9 of the galaxy's top ranking assassins with him.
Mm-hmm.
They're, of course, part of the United Assassins Association, and surprise, 10 more people that Travis has to kill because they're messing with Santa Destroy, his hometown.
Mm-hmm.
But Matt, if I had to be honest, for the most part, I don't think a lot of the alien assassins are memorable.
Oh.
And if they are memorable, it's for other reasons. And what I mean by that is for aliens, Matt, I feel like none of their designs really stood out to me. And I think the one that stands out the most is, of course, Fu, because he's the big bad. He's the one you see the most throughout the game. And this girl named Midori, who essentially just looks like a normal human.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like none of the designs really stood out, but I do appreciate how they give a handful of the alien bosses tiny asides with Fu prior to their fights, which ultimately flesh out who Fu is as a character, as the antagonist, and in turn gives these bosses a few more, just a bit more insight to them compared to bosses in previous games, which was kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
Where the boss fights that do end up standing out in the game, Matt, are the ones that are gimmick fights. For
Well, yeah,
example,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mr. Black Hole, he's the one that introduces the Iron Man suit combat, and it essentially becomes Star Fox at that point. Um,
Oh, true.
Matt, sorry, I'm just going to spoil some of the better boss fights in the game, if
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
mind.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, Velvet
Mm-hmm.
Chair Girl starts off with 3 rounds of musical chairs. Sonic Juice starts off as a turn-based JRPG. And,
Mm-hmm.
Midori Kawa, who I said before, she starts off as like a Japanese first-person horror experience in an abandoned school where you're kind of just going around. And it's these gimmick fights that really stand out to me. But when you actually finish those gimmicks and then you fight the bosses 1v1, I don't think any of the fights and their attack patterns are really memorable at all.
Ah, I see.
Where I have another question for you, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the trope where a protagonist faces off against a notable enemy only for that enemy to be killed off by someone else before they actually get to fight?
I mean, it's not like great, but like it. I feel like I've seen that enough times that it's kind of like whatever for me.
Mm-hmm. Matt,
Hmm.
I think that trope was the big twist of No More Heroes, the original game where, you go up against this big menacing, I believe it was Dark Star, only for him to be killed by Travis's twin sister, Jean. And I think that happens a handful of times in No More Heroes 2. But Matt, it happens like
Oh. Mhm.
3 times in No More Heroes 3. Where on one hand, it's kind of funny to think that these are the top 10 ranking assassins in the galaxy, and they're being offed by randos sort of affiliated by Travis. But at the same time, this is why these aliens aren't memorable, because they just become fodder for these other characters, which, granted, introduce you to boss fights with previous characters, but I feel like that also takes away from the charm of essentially these new assassins, in my opinion. But Matt, I want to get to my biggest complaint about Normal Heroes 3.
Okay.
And that's, as noted earlier, Matt, the overworld, the open world, quote unquote, returns in this game. And if I had to be honest, Matt, this is literally, if not, literally one, if not one of the worst open world experiences I've ever had in a game. Matt, let me paint you a picture. The first time you open the map, you see Santa destroy in all its glory, and it's a pretty sizable map. However, a lot of the map is marked with red, marked red and has do not enter signs all over them. You would think that as you progress through the game, these areas would eventually unlock. Matt? These areas don't eventually unlock.
Well,
the actual map is like less than 20% of what is shown in the menu map. It's such a bizarre design choice. But then, Matt, I think that's actually a benefit, because the actual world itself, despite having 5 different biomes, is really bad. It's all flat. It doesn't feel alive. It feels like budget asset dump, or like building asset dumps. And as you progress, the areas become just more and more bare, where, Matt, I feel like I need to apologize to Brazil, because by the time you get to Neo Brazil, that region of the game, it's literally a flat plain with like 3 buildings in it. Not to mention, Travis's walk speed leaves a lot to be desired, and there's no sprint for him. And even though you get a motorcycle, as you did in No More Heroes 1, there are areas where you can't use it. So it just feels so tedious to explore. I mean, as I said before, No More Heroes 2 ditches the open world in favor of menus, and I wish these stuck to it. It's that bad, Matt. Like, you would hope that this is the third game, better hardware, that they would actually flesh out an open world, but it's kind of surreal where you only have like an occasional NPC civvy walking around at one time. And like, I don't know, it's just not great, Matt. But I have to give it this. To save in the open world, you need to use public toilets, of course, because when you save No More Heroes, you sit in the toilet. When you discover one for the first time, you need to unclog it. And the unclogging minigame is reminiscent of a lockpicking minigame where you have to find the sweet spot in the circle. And I thought that was pretty fun. But Matt, I think another thing that annoys me is just the amount of busy work in the game, where so we all know the new No More Heroes loop. It's new assassin rank appears. You go around fighting entry-level fights. You need to beat 3 of the 5-level entry fights to gain the opportunity to pay your entry fee. And then you do side missions, whether it be combat defense missions or actual part-time job mini games to earn enough entry fee money. You get enough money, you pay the fee, you fight the rank boss, and then you rinse and repeat until you finish the game. Matt, the side jobs themselves vary in quality, but overall, they aren't really fun or notable. I think the best one is the garbage collecting minigame, just because, you're going around a swampy area picking up garbage, and you also have a chance to suplex alligators that try to attack you during it, which I think is pretty cool.
That's Matt, pretty No More Heroes.
I do appreciate, I noted before in the combat section that you do have a grapple button that lets you do wrestling moves. At first, you only do, the tried and true German suplex, but I do appreciate, as Travis is such a wrestling mark as well, that depending on the body type, you'll do different, wrestling moves to opponents, whether it be DDTs, brain busters, and it's just, I like the different wrestling animations and the fact that you can still suplex alligators during the garbage pickup minigame is really cool too. But other than that, just all the mini games are bad. I think the rest of them are pretty bad, Matt.
Mhm.
Everything else just doesn't feel great or worse. I feel like they just overstay their welcome a lot. Sure, they may last 2 to 3 minutes each time, but when you're doing something that's just busy work and not fun, it feels like ages. And again, thankfully, there are defense missions which are wave based, combat scenarios that you can do instead, but even those present their own sets of problems where I think another issue I have with these side missions is that each one of them has like different levels of difficulty or challenges,
Mhm.
and you unlock new challenge levels or at least new areas of or other instances around the map with new after you finish a ranked fight. But the issue is, Matt, you need to traverse to each of their locations in the open world to see if a new level unlocked. Where
Oh, that's gross.
so I'll start off. Okay, I have level one of the garbage collecting mini game in 2 locations. I'll finish a ranked fight. I have to go to each one to see, oh, did a new level unlock? Did a new level unlock? And Matt,
Mhm.
it's like the annoying part is one, you don't know if a certain side mission received a new challenge option. Two,
Uh-huh.
as I said before, they're all scattered all over the open world, so you have to manually get there. Three, again, Matt, the open world is boring, lifeless, and dull. I cannot stress how bad it is. And four,
Mhm.
this could have just legit been menus again, Matt.
Yeah.
Like, there's a menu that shows all the different defense combat side missions and your grades on them. And while you can press A on each of them in this menu, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't teleport you to that mission. It doesn't start the mission itself. It doesn't do anything. Again, it's such a bizarre design choice. But
Mhm.
not to
Mhm.
mention, take the design or the defense missions. Say in an area there are 4 defense missions clustered together, and as you progress, at first you have one mission and then another and then another and then another as you progress through the game.
Uh-huh.
Now, say you do the first 2 missions in that cluster. Before you can do 3 and 4, if they're unlocked, that cluster becomes one of 7 special missions, which are essentially Star Fox space battles. And you have to do one of these 7 Star Fox space battles in order to select the defense missions again. Where I'll be honest, Matt, I don't like the space combat because one, it's long, it's tedious, and it does that thing where the right trigger doesn't just auto fire your missiles. It's one of those games where you have to fly around, lock onto the target, and once you're locked
Ah.
on, you press right trigger to fire your missiles. Matt,
Mhm.
I always want to be constantly firing missiles, so
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
doesn't feel great. So again, Matt, there are a lot of stylistic choices in the game that are fun, but I feel like the game just doesn't get to breathe for the good moments, like meeting some of the new characters, some of the pre boss fight banter, but the game really drags in the less than great areas, like the mini games, like the open world stuff. Not to mention, all the side missions are essentially collectathons, Matt. Again, not great. Not great. And
Mhm.
while there are a lot of callbacks to not only No More Heroes, but other games that Suda has worked on, which is nice, only if you understand it, where there are even some callbacks for longtime fans that don't actually make sense sometimes, which is also a shame. But Matt, it's just annoying driving around to see if something new has appeared in the same area you've been to before. This is just how it is with all the side jobs. It legit could have been a menu, but Matt, I want to know how this gets even worse.
Oh god. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Drop it on me, Jaren.
So, Matt, of course,
Mhm.
one of the big features of No More Heroes is how Travis can unlock these different t shirts. Not a
Uh
lot of
huh.
good t shirt designs in the game.
Mhm.
So, to unlock t shirt designs, there are alien NPCs around the map. And when you go to them, they'll present you a challenge. And if you meet the criteria, they'll give you a shirt.
Mhm.
Same thing with all the side missions, Matt. You unlock more challenges as you progress through the game. But let's say I get to the 4th area and you would think, oh, I would have like a few challenges unlocked for this alien. I talk to the alien, I meet the challenge, and then I get my t-shirt. But afterwards, I can't talk to that alien again. He becomes crossed out in my map. So
Uh-huh.
Matt,
Uh-huh.
I need to start up some sort of side mission, a defense mission, or like a boss fight to essentially reset the world and to be able to talk to this alien again to see if he has a new challenge to give me. And
Mhm.
it's so strange, Matt. It's so bizarre. But, Matt,
Mhm.
there's another boss in particular that I want to highlight.
Uh-huh.
It's Sonic Juice, I believe, like the third boss, like the third last boss fight in the game,
Uh-huh.
where essentially the introduction to the Sonic Juice fight is it's a long introduction where 1/4 of the introduction is literally him just walking slowly towards the camera while Travis and his cat Gene complain about how slowly, Gene's complaining how slowly this guy's walking, and then Travis is telling Gene just to calm down.
Yeah.
And then they get into the discourse of how younger gamers would have probably dropped the game by now, just because of how slow this section was. And then it goes into a lengthy discussion about how, Sonic Juice asks Travis why they need to fight, how the boss doesn't want to fight him, but he's kind of being forced to do so because of Fu, which is kind of a callback to No More Heroes 2 and the existential crisis that really Travis faces as being an assassin, of being forced to fight, of someone who has to keep on killing. And then the boss asks Travis, hey, can we just fight normally? Can we just fight, like negotiate a peace treaty?
Mhm.
And then Matt,
Mhm.
needless to say, this is really the only time we get to see this concept of, what it means to be an assassin and the existential burden it, will take its toll that takes on each of the fighters, where it was such not a big element of No More Heroes 2 per se, but it was a core component to it. And to kind of see that kind of philosophy not really explored in No More Heroes 3, again, it's a shame, where it really kind of adds to that all substance or all style no substance factor of No More Heroes 3, where I really
Mhm.
do wish you explore more of, Travis's emotional turmoil, but for the most part it is just him going 0 to 100 all times, him being brash, him just wanting to kill everyone. And we do see less of the humane times. I guess the only time we really do see him is when he decides to spare Midori and says, or after he kills Velvet Chair Girl, he says, I don't want to kill anyone else, or I don't want to kill any more women. So, Matt,
Mhm.
the Sonic Juice fight is the JRPG fight, and Matt,
Uh-huh.
it's a chore because
Oh.
Matt, I feel like there was a goof here as well, because it's your typical JRPG menu. You have fight, you have summon, you have magic attack, you have charge. Essentially, when you attack as Travis, he loses charge, kind of his beam katana loses charge, and you have to charge it up, like you
Mhm.
do in No More Heroes. And then you have items to heal, and then you have run. And then Matt,
Mhm.
when you say you want to use a magic spell, you can't use magic spells because you don't have any mana.
Yeah.
Um, when you want to use a summon, you have to. It says, "Oh, this summon just isn't here. They're on vacation or they're lost or something."
Damn. Hate to see it.
Where Matt, I feel
Mhm.
like this is. I feel like this is a dunk on Square Enix, but it's a goof that goes on for way too long because
Uh-huh.
Travis's basic attack only hits for like 1 to 4 damage. Even though
Mhm.
the boss's attack does, anywhere from 60 to 400, it
Oh.
it essentially just doesn't kill you. Like you still have ample time to heal up. But Matt, what makes this worse is the boss literally has only 3 attacks. He has his big water AoE attack. He has this wind up, charge attack, and then he punches you. And then he just rotates through that in the same order
Oh.
ad nauseum. And the only way to go into the proper boss fight is if you figure out, oh, I'm not supposed to target the boss, I'm supposed to target the menus themselves. So once you destroy the
Oh,
menus, like the actual Matt, did you just
Jared, I
roll
don't
your
like that.
eyes?
Jared, I don't like that. That's something that's like in my head so exactly up No More Heroes' alley.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Where again, Matt, if we were a decade younger, I think I would have ate that up.
Hmm.
But now that we're not, we're a decade older, I just rolled my eyes the whole time because, surprise, Matt, after you destroy the menus, Travis says, fuck this. Let's just do a normal boss fight, which Sonic Juice says, oh, do you mean a boss fight where a big like enemy figure looms on the background and then you have to avoid its attack patterns while gradually decreasing a giant health bar at the top of the screen? And Travis is like, exactly. Matt, again, that's the No More Heroes humor we
Hmm.
think,
Uh-huh.
but I'm not sure if it really plays still.
And Jared, honestly, okay, so this whole time that you've been really talking about No More Heroes,
Yeah.
Jaren, I was thinking, Jaren, is No More Heroes the video game equivalent of Kakegurui?
Yes. Matt,
Oh
I
man.
think it is
Jaren
because,
Kakegurui season 3 isn't as rough as No More Heroes 3.
Matt,
Mm-hmm.
can I spoil the final boss fight? After you fight Fu, you of course have to fight Damon at the end. Of course. Like
Yes.
that's a given.
Mm-hmm.
Matt,
Mm-hmm.
so essentially Damon gets powered up, um, and then Travis is falling from like I forget what the his building is, but then he's like, "Oh no, my power glove's broken. I can't summon my mech. What do I do? I'm gonna fall to my death."
Uh-huh.
And then Damon's gonna destroy the world because he's some giant monster now.
Mm-hmm.
But then Matt,
Uh-huh.
out of I think his AI says, Travis, I'm picking up a reading.
Uh-huh.
Something's being teleported from another world. And then all of a sudden you hear Travis go, oh my god, is that the mech from Marvelous's games, Damon Ex Machina, here to save me? And then Matt,
Oh man.
you
Mm-hmm.
you do another Star Fox segment as the mech from Damon Ex Machina. And
Oh
then
man.
after you charge into, I don't know, Damon, you get teleported, or you get flung into space, and then you go into this floating island. And then Matt,
Mm-hmm.
Travis says something about, oh, we were on this never-ending train to train of violence, and we finally arrived at our last stop. He
Mm-hmm.
stresses last stop, Matt, and then Damon
Uh-huh.
says, okay, this is it. This is where we'll have our final confrontation. And then
Uh-huh.
Matt,
Uh-huh.
the perspective turns, 2D, 2.5D or whatever, and it
Mm-hmm.
literally becomes Smash Brothers.
Amazing.
Again, Matt,
Jaren. Okay, I just need to know. During this
yes.
final fight, Jaren, are they playing like since they've been hitting, this like OPED kind of thing, Jaren, are they playing any music from No More Heroes 1 at this point?
Matt, they're playing a slowed down version of the No More Heroes theme.
Nice, nice. Okay, okay, good, 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 good.
So yeah, Matt, that's what No More Heroes is in a nutshell, where it's it's I'm hesitant to say it's a solid B game because Matt,
Uh-huh.
I hate to admit, but there was this run of defense, those defense wave based combat missions where
Mm-hmm.
I fought like 8 in a row and they were literally the same 3 waves each, the same enemies for each of the waves. Like it just felt like a weird cut and paste job where I feel like I was glitching by having to do the same defensive missions over and over again. Where again, I hesitant to say this is a good B game because on paper, Matt,
Mm-hmm.
while I think it's a decent No More Heroes game, I think it's being propped up by the fact I just love No More Heroes. I just love the world
Mm-hmm.
that Suda created, but at the same time, it feels like a weird, I don't know, a weird reimagining, or no, sorry. It feels like he just took No More Heroes 1 and kind of added some modern sensibilities to it, but didn't actually have the budget or the resources to actually remaster it, if that makes sense. Where this is the skeleton of No More Heroes 1, but it's just not innovated in a way. And you can argue that you can kind of see how the game was rushed, where it doesn't hit the same emotional story beats as it did in No More Heroes 2. Some of the fanfare doesn't get to breathe as much as you want it to. And it just gets bogged down by it being a game where I think at the end of the day, it might have been better served as an actual anime at this point, because again, it's the style, it's the aesthetic, it's the characters that make it good. But I don't know, Matt. I feel like 1 minute I love the overall style and presentation, where the next I feel like I'm too old to appreciate the ADHD quirkiness of the game. And I feel like for better and for worse in many ways, this is No More Heroes 1 with a shiny coat of paint. But the issues you can tell, or the issue is you can tell it doesn't have the budget to back it like Suda's vision, where I wonder if he did have a budget, would the gameplay actually finally match up with the style? Where, I don't know, Matt. I feel like in a parallel world, because again, you're dealing with multiple timelines here. There is a game, there is a No More Heroes that exists that has gameplay to match up with the style, the presentation that Suda actually wants it to be. Because Matt, I think, what if No More Heroes had stop me if you heard this before, Matt. If it played like a Platinum game or like From Software game, but had like a Nemesis system where and an actual living world, Matt, I think that would be really my jam. But alas, we have No More Heroes 3. I know Suda has said that since it belongs to Marvelous, he has a good relationship with them as a publisher, but at the same time, him and his team want to do something in the future that is exclusively theirs. So again, this is Travis's swan song. But Matt, it's just, if you're a fan of No More Heroes, I still recommend it, but I think if you're not a fan of No More Heroes, I think you're better served watching like a retrospective. Maybe you're better served watching the boss introductions, because those compilations exist on YouTube, of course. But I was really hesitant to tell you about my time with the game, Matt, because I knew there was a very real possibility it might scare you off from checking it out. But you know what they say, Matt, it is what it is. And No More Heroes is a game, but at its core, I wish it was a better game that was of actual substance, as opposed to just whatever style it presents. But yeah, Matt, that's No More Heroes 3. Maybe we probably won't see, if we do see Travis again, it won't be anytime soon. And Matt, someone just give Suda the budget and resources he needs to really realize his vision.
He just needs to, get Travis into Smash proper.
Not. I know I've talked for a long time, but if there's one thing we have to end, we have to do, Matt, you know what time it is. Your weekly mistake zone, don't match me challenge, No More Heroes edition. Matt, our friends know the rules. I have 5 categories with 5 answers. Your job is to simply not match me, Matt. Easy enough. But of course, with each category, it becomes a bit more difficult. And since this is loosely inspired by No More Heroes, Matt.
Okay.
Matt, we'll start off. Travis Touchdown is a otaku with many different interests. One of those is wrestling. Don't match me challenge. Just name a wrestling move, Matt. I know if you're not really informed about wrestling, I did mention a few, but just anything at all. I'm going to count it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you guys were thinking about, the iconic German suplex, sorry, you're out. If you said suplex, I was going to say if you said suplex or any other suplex variant, you're still in it. But, the tried and true German suplex, I'm sorry, I was a bit mean with that one.
Oh, man.
But,
Jaren, I'm out.
I'm sorry, Matt. I'm sorry.
Uh,
But, to keep going on, Matt, the first you can still play along.
yes, yeah. I'm gonna keep going, Jared. I'm gonna keep going.
The difficulty, Matt, when you select difficulty in No More Heroes, it starts off with sweet, mild, and bitter. Matt, easy enough. Name something sweet. All our friends, don't match me challenge. Name something sweet. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Guys, if you said you're sweet, you're out. I knew there's some witty friends out there, Matt, who think, hey, you're pretty sweet. So if you said that, out.
Oh man, absolutely. Well, I'm theoretically
theoretically still in it. On the flip side, Matt, round 3, name something bitter. Pretty easy, right? A lot of bitter things out there. Matt, bitter is hard mode in No More Heroes, as you can recall. But if you or one of our friends said black coffee, you're out. Because
true,
Matt, I was sipping on some black coffee during this pod. Second last round for the Don't Match Me No More Heroes edition challenge on the Mistake Zone. Easy. Name a No More Heroes assassin. If you're not familiar with the assassins in No More Heroes, we named a bunch throughout this episode. If one is on the top of your head, you feel free to say it. Let's count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Matt? If you or our friends said Alice Twilight, you're out. I need to make sure her name's actually Alice Twilight because I know there is an Alice character in this series. And fun fact, Matt, she's actually the sister of Margaret, someone who we actually name dropped a lot in this episode. Yep, Alice Twilight. Final round, Matt. I know we have to play this round a bit more mean. 4 options for this one, Matt. For the last Don't Match Me challenge this week, there are 4 No More Heroes games. All you have to do is name one of those games. So yeah, name a No More Heroes title and just don't match me. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Matt and friends. If you said No More Heroes 2, Desperate Struggle. Sorry. You're out.
No.
Sorry about that, Matt.
Got twice.
bit of a rough one this week.
This was a desperate struggle for me.
But Matt, I hope that wasn't a desperate struggle for all our friends who were subjected to another Jaren TED Talk about a game. But yeah, Matt, I'd love me some No More Heroes. Matt, Punk's not dead, but unfortunately, the story for Travis is dead for now, but who knows? Maybe in the future. Honestly, this just reminds me how much I love these games, Matt. And again, in another world, there's a version of No More Heroes that exists that is, more our speed. But for now, if you don't want to put up with the mundane aspect of it, I just recommend watching it on YouTube. But yeah, Matt, I'm sorry, Matt, for another beefy episode of the Mistake Zone with another beefy lecture from myself. But as always, I want to thank you, Matt, for joining me this week, putting up with my nonsense and editing this program.
Hey, thanks, man. Jaren, I want to thank you for carrying this whole episode with your No More Heroes playthrough.
Thanks, man. I want to thank you again for my Hololive shrimp chip treat.
Hey.
Let's see. Who do I want to thank, Matt? I want to thank Matt. I want to thank Rakush, who also gave me something from Japan. Thanks, guys. Thanks for thinking about me on your vacation. Matt, I want to thank the Moon acrylic you got me. I want to thank the Choco acrylic you got me. I want to thank the Choco keychain you got me. And that's it. Matt, another beefy episode, but please take it away.
This has been the Mistake Zone, and we're all out of heroes.
Oh, I get it. I get that.